Hello, my name is Ben,
My name is Star.
and we are your hosts of the Too Vague podcast this week. One word, two hosts, stories, trivia, and video games. My guest this week, we've got Star on the show again. How is Star doing today?
Star's doing all right.
Ben is pleased.
Woohoo!
You just got back from the Arizona.
I did. I got to see my grandparents and my baby sister. She's 6 months old.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Did you spend some time with baby CJ?
Yeah, she's a sweetie. I mean, she's small, but
Well, juicy diapers from what I hear.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with that.
Fortunately, you're like the grandparents. You come in and you spoil them.
Pretty much. That's what I do with my cousins.
You know what? That's what you get to do now because of the age difference. It's going to be like you can go there, spoil your baby sister, and then leave.
That was funny. I was talking to her, in her little bucket that she sits in. And I was like, when you're 14, you can always call me in the middle of the night because it's hard.
What did she say?
She smiled.
Okay.
She laughed. Yeah,
She knew what you were talking about.
I hope. Or she's just a happy baby.
Could be either. Could be both. You never know. The unspoken bond of sisterhood.
It was sweet. She'd always smile and laugh at me. Yeah.
Is that a thing? It should be if it's not.
I wouldn't know. I just did my first sibling, so.
Yeah. After being an only child for the majority of your life.
For years. Yeah.
Are you playing any games lately?
I've been trying to keep on with the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
I'm going through the tutorial part, the beginning, which I always am I'm annoyed. I know how to play the game. But also because sometimes puzzles are hard for me and it makes my brain hurt. But it's so pretty and so cool. And I love that there's dragons.
There's a new dynamic with the merging of the stuff together, right? Isn't there? There's
Yeah.
in Tears of the Kingdom, you can do all these things where you make weird stuff.
That's the part that's been annoying me. Because it's once you get the hang of it, it's fine. It's just I'm new controls, but also you have to make sure they're glued together at the right spot so that you can do the things. And if they're not in the right order, it just gets funky. It takes me too long. But that's a me problem. I don't think it's a game problem.
A lot of people say that there are a lot of really creative things you can do by combining stuff together, and
People who are smarter than I.
same here, smarter than myself too. But Tears of the Kingdom is the focus, huh?
Yeah, I've been playing that one and Harry Potter Legacy.
Ah.
That one, I think it's so much fun. I mean, I take way too long to get through everything because I'm what's over here? What's over there? I just get excited.
Oh, yeah.
That's the point. It's all open world, so you do what you want.
Right. For me, as long as there's a story in there somewhere, I'm going to complete it at my leisure.
Right.
And sometimes it's nice to just go off and do something that's not grindy or not part of the story.
I get distracted by side quests.
At least that's a mini sort of story sometimes.
Right. It's my life. I always think about that. I'm oh, going on a side quest.
Right. I mean, I gave your father a side quest the next time he leaves the country.
What's that?
The unique airport Pringles side quest.
Yes, he was excited about that one.
Yeah.
He made me try one of them.
Which one did he make you try?
I'm trying to remember. It was weird. It was a weird one. I think I tried a lot of them, but one of them was I don't remember what the flavors were.
Was it the scallops and garlic butter or something?
Yes. I was going to say it was a seafood one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. It was just different. But also I tried those shrimp chips from Japan and stuff. They're good.
Yeah.
Mom was this is kind of weird, but I guess you get used to it.
Bash likes them. I'm not the shrimp chips, but he the dehydrated shrimp. He likes them a lot.
Mm-hmm. Dude, my friend, this is so unrelated, but I used to live with my friends and they had a golden retriever and they would give her duck hearts, the dried ones for treats.
Okay.
And I remember us looking at the bag and just being that's so many ducks.
Right?
I don't know how that was the memory, but it was wow.
Picking off baby ducks. Go to the pond. I don't want to think about the whole process and the breeding and the stuff because there's obviously something going on there. But anyway.
Yes.
I am playing games too, by the way. The game I'm playing, I don't think I mentioned it to you directly, but there's a game called Pacific Drive.
Yes, okay, talk about it, because I might have heard about it.
Yeah, it's the one with the station wagon.
You did show me that. I did watch it. I watched a video of it. Yeah.
And you're in this.
And I was like, I don't think this has to do about beat, but
it doesn't.
It's the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, exactly. They call it the Olympic exclusion zone that they've got walled off. You're delivering something in a car to this place, and then you get zapped into the exclusion zone, and then you're trying to figure out how to escape. I've already been playing it probably about 25 hours in or something.
So you get sucked into like a different dimension?
It feels like it. That's the thing. It's not a different dimension because it all looks very much like the Pacific Northwest. All the scenery, the rain, the wind. I mean, everything is really cool, except you've got these weird anomalies that will appear.
Like Lost.
Yeah, sort of like that. There's like these pools of spikes or this big kind of electric blade thing that, just basically roams around. There are these things that look like lunar landers, sort of, but they can attach to your car and drag you to suck up your energy and stuff. Whenever any of these anomalies hits your car, it can develop quirks, which basically gives it sort of like a personality. And last night I got one where it was like I could not close the door. It wouldn't let me close the door. And I don't know what I need to fix.
It said no.
I'm trying to figure out still how to fix it. So the loop is you play over and over again. You collect your things, and then you go back to your garage and use those things to repair your car. I don't know if your dad talked about the repair putty, but you get this bucket of repair putty that you just, and then it fixes the stuff. And then also
health goo.
Yeah. Health goo for station wagons. Yeah. Also in these zones, they've got these creepy statue things that it's in the dark sometimes, right? You'll hear things moving as you're like looting places, and then you turn around where there wasn't a statue and there's a statue of a person like stuck in place.
Bro.
That if you run
it's like
into
that Doctor Who.
Yeah, the weeping angels.
Those are scary. I watched those when I was little and I was like terrified.
Those are very, very terrifying.
That sounds fun. It's on PC.
It is on PC, but I'm playing it on the PlayStation 5.
I'm going to get a PlayStation. It's going to happen.
All right.
I have faith. This has been a goal for many years, but I have faith I can do it.
This game, it was released, I think, in February. It's the freshman release developed by Ironwood Studios, which is a game studio based in Seattle, Washington, published by Kepler Interactive, which is one of these London, Singapore-based publishers that focus on a lot of independent game publishing. In fact, cool. There's another one that I'm playing that looks like, I'll talk about it on a different episode, but it looks like what I would expect an acid flashback to look like. The game is just so crazy colorful. It's got this very unique style.
I love that.
Yeah, it's called Ultros. I'm not sure if Ultros is going to come out for the Switch or not, but it's definitely very, very strange.
Oh, it looks cool. Sorry, I'm Googling it. I just want to see the art. The colors look crazy. I love that. I love that kind of art style. I'm a big saturation just person. I think the world should be more colorful.
And that is definitely it. Like when you defeat enemies, it's a loop thing. It's like a time loop thing where you get more powers and can lock more powers into place as you go through your loops, right?
Got it.
But then also one of the mechanics is you find seeds that you can use to get to other places. Like, for example, I got a seed that, you know what? Let me just not talk about it right now because I could get...
Talk about it next time.
Yeah, let's talk about it next time because there's a lot to talk about with it.
I'll look into it, though. It looks cool.
Yeah, check it out. Well, let's get on to our word.
Yes.
Which is very Borscht-centric. Or maybe it's not that spelling.
Borscht?
Borscht. Are you familiar with Borscht?
Like the soup?
Yes.
Oh.
What is it made of?
Oh, like beets?
Yes.
Got it. That took me a minute.
It's not that kind of
We
beet.
could talk about beets. Marcus grew beets.
We could.
My uncle.
Your dad thinks roasting beets over a fire is a good thing, I think.
Anyway, not that kind.
Yeah, it's not that kind of beet we're talking about.
Like the Beatles.
Like the Beatles, yeah. Like Beatniks. Like the beat poets and stuff.
Allen Ginsberg.
Yeah,
Is that his name?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I read that one.
Yeah. And then you had, who was the other guy? The On the Road guy.
I'm not as smart as my dad.
Your dad would.
He would know.
Kerouac. That's what it is. Jack Kerouac.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So Jack Kerouac, On the Road.
There it is. It's in the brain.
There was a time when I was interested in going to poetry slams.
Not so much anymore.
Oh, God, no. My poetry was pretty bad.
I went to art school in the middle of the woods. A lot of interesting stuff, but that was part of it.
Bad art or poetry?
Both, all of it. Bad art, good poetry, bad poetry.
I say bad art as in art that doesn't connect with you, right? It's not bad as an expression.
Oh, 100%.
It's valid as an expression, but I'm talking like it just doesn't
connect. No, I agree with that. Especially, I remember like having a teacher in dance once kind of talk about like the difference between performance and art and how it can be one or the other, and it can be both, but like it's also an industry. It's
right.
Kind of off topic, but like with like the idea of what's good art and bad art, you know, it's all subjective, and people being judgmental about it. It's like, that's why I didn't like art school that much, because I think everything's valid.
To some extent, I think I agree with you.
Some things.
Jackson Pollock stuff may not connect with me, but that doesn't mean it's not something to someone else.
Right.
But we're not talking about art. We're talking about beats.
Beats.
Beat. The 4/4. We'll talk about my concern with different times.
Time signatures?
Yeah, time signature. I don't know. It's something relating to my time with this game that I'm going to talk about in our official video game section. So,
got you.
There are many definitions of the word beat. So, buckle your seatbelt. Here we go.
Get my notebook.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, there could be some connections here that we make with these that you didn't think of, or I didn't think of. We'll start with the verbs. Verb number 1, strike a person or animal repeatedly and violently so as to hurt or injure them, typically with an implement such as a club or whip.
Specific.
Very specific. Oxford Languages, they get some very interesting specificity.
Specifically with a club.
With a club or a whip. Indiana Jones whips people. He doesn't beat them with a whip, does he?
That's true, right? Maybe more in like bad situations that are worse than Indiana Jones. I don't know.
Club or whip. Moving on. Strike an object repeatedly so as to make a noise of an instrument, make a rhythmical sound by being struck. Strike a carpet, blanket, etc. repeatedly in order to remove dust.
Oh, interesting.
So you beat the rug.
Like the beach.
Hopefully there isn't the other beach that the male, anyway.
Yeah, hopefully not that one.
We'll see, though. Oxford does like to put some weird ones in there.
So is there a wife beater in there?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
The other one on the first verb is flatten or shape metal by striking it repeatedly with a hammer. These are calling them beats, but to me, I think there are other better words for them.
Yeah.
Strike something against something else. Strike repeatedly at or on something. Or move across an area of land, repeatedly striking at the ground cover in order to raise game birds for shooting. Okay.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like duck hunt. The little dog and duck hunt.
Yeah, like duck hunt. Did you see the like new... Sorry, I'm going to get so distracted.
Go for it.
Never mind.
No, go for it.
Like the game, like the newer the duck hunt game, but then it was like, I think it was an indie game, but then it ended up being like really weird and had a lot of weird Easter eggs. I don't know. I watched a lot of playthroughs on it, but that was like a bunch of years ago.
So it wasn't a Nintendo Duck Hunt. It was some sort of a version that was like Duck Hunt.
Yeah. They did it on VR, but it was like kind of like, you know, like the kid has like the games, and so you play the levels, but then you also like have all the weird lore that nerds like to figure out.
Right. Interesting. I'm going to have to check that out. But it is a VR game, you said, yeah?
Yeah, I think they had it on other stuff. I just watched a I was watching a lot of Game Theory. I think he played it.
Is Game Theory a show?
It's a YouTuber, MatPat. He's been around for like ever. He'll do theories about games. It's a big part of my generation, but it's like, that's just a theory, a game theory. He used to do a lot of live streams with his wife, and I loved watching them during the pandemic because it made me happy.
I gotta check that out. Yeah, because I like some of that reacting videos or real life videos playing games together. Verb number 2, defeat someone in a game or other competitive situation. Overcome a problem or disease. Do or be better than a record or a score. And then also informal baffle.
Baffle.
It beats me how you managed to work in this heat.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. It beats me.
I never, thought of that one.
I haven't used that in a long time. Beats me. Verb number 3, success in getting somewhere ahead of someone. Take action to avoid difficult or inconvenient effects of an event or circumstance. They set off early to beat the traffic.
They all feel like similar, but very specific.
A lot of them do. Verb number 4, of the heart, pulsate. Of a bird, move the wings up and down. Of a bird flying, making rhythmic wing movements. So that is beating their wings. Number 6, stir cooking ingredients vigorously with a fork, whisk, or beater to make a smooth or frothy mixture.
Meringue.
Yeah, like beating eggs. And then there is also sailing. Sail into the wind, following a zigzag course with repeated tacking. We beat southward all that first day. I've never heard that use, the sailing use.
Me neither.
Then again, I don't have a sailboat.
Yeah, I don't do much sailing personally, so...
No sailing in Portland?
No, not in Portland. I have been on some boats since being on the East Coast, but mostly the, like, bro boats, not so much a sailboat.
Bro boats?
You know, like the ones that, like, vroom and go fast.
Oh, like those cigarette boats? Like those really super speedy boats? Like
yeah, like
motorboats?
the small one. Yeah, and then, like, you go and drink and, like, drive fast.
And that's, like, fun.
And you're 19 or 21.
Right. So you call them bro boats?
Yeah, well, I feel like you always see a bunch of bros on those boats.
Okay.
Or, like, that might be my dad's term, low-key. I think that was, like, my dad and his, like, friends in Portland would talk about, like, the bro boats. I could be making that up, but I don't think I am.
You know, they missed a tremendous opportunity to call them broats.
They really did.
I think.
That's a good one.
It's like one whole thing. It's the bro on the boat. It's the bro boat. It's the broat.
Yeah, it's a bro. Yeah, it's always like the frat boys and their broats.
It's a Snakes on a Plane spinoff. Is Frat Boys on a Boat.
Frat boys on a boat. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's it.
Especially if you're a woman, unfortunately, in the collegiate environment.
Yes.
We're now on to the nouns. A main accent or rhythmic unit in music or poetry. A strong rhythm in popular music. A regular rhythmic sound or movement. The sound made when something, especially a musical instrument, is struck. Pulsation of the heart. Periodic variation of sound or amplitude due to the combination of two sounds, electrical signals, or other vibrations having similar but not identical frequencies. That's the first noun. They kind of covered a lot of the verbs in there. The movement of a bird's wings also. That's number 2. Number 3, an area allocated to a police officer on patrol.
I don't know cop speak.
Yeah, I don't either. But it seems like also it would be for someone who is a writer too. Like, what's your beat? You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same general principle, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A spell of duty allocated to a police officer. Yeah, that's the thing. An area regularly frequented by someone, typically a prostitute. What?
Oh, I didn't know that one.
I didn't know that one either, but it kind of took me by surprise. I think the comedy is better if I don't read these ahead of time.
Wait a second.
An informal, a person's area of interest. The beat is construction, property, and hotels. Okay, his beat. That would fit into the author's thing. And then we got number 4, a brief pause or moment of hesitation, typically one lasting a specific length.
Oh, yeah.
Just wait a beat. And then also informal, short for beatnik. So there are our nouns. And then...
Is there more?
There's more.
Oh, wow.
Not too much. We got adjectives.
Adjective.
Yeah. And this is one that I think I do use this one. Once again, the adjective relating to the beat generation and or its philosophy. That is one of them. The other one is completely exhausted.
Uh-huh.
Like sapped of energy, like I'm beat. Like I use that one a lot.
I think I say that there's a lot of phrases I say because I read them in books as a kid, and I think that it's funny to say them because people don't so much.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. I'm beat.
My dogs are barking. That means my legs are tired, I think. My feet are tired. I think that's what it is.
Oh, I wish I could remember. My friend said something really funny the other day that was so old-timey, but maybe I'll remember it in like an hour. We'll see.
Did it have anything to do with showing someone what for with their gentlemanly boxing gloves?
No.
I'll show you what for.
I'll show you what for.
We should popularize all these things.
Huzzah. Bring back huzzah, honestly.
What I do when someone doesn't get what I'm saying as a punchline, I don't say huzzah, I say za. But anyway, that's a me thing, probably. A me and my friend Chris. The dogs are barking, colloquial expression for one's feet hurting. It likely has its origin as American slang from the 1910s. So there we go. My dogs are barking. Anyway, that is beat. Origin is German.
Really? Makes sense.
Germanic of origin, beaten. So there we go. Beet is sometimes confused with beet.
Like the vegetable?
That's what it says here.
The root. Fun fact, you can grow beets from beets. Everyone knows that.
I think we covered it a little bit in your rhythm show, but isn't that part of having rhythm is being able to maintain a beat?
Yes. And it's hard. It's a lot harder than you think. Also, I don't know, this like, I need to say it before I forget it. Talking about heartbeat and then like rhythm, like our music and whatever. I had a music teacher tell us that a lot of times people will lean towards music that has the same BPM as like a resting heart rate.
Okay.
Or like that'll be like a calming what your body kind of wants to go towards. So especially like when you're trying to keep a beat, people will tend to rush. And a lot of it has to do with where your resting heartbeat is or like how your body is regulating. I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. I know I lean towards music with a very similar like BPM, and I was told that was because of a heart rate thing, which I thought was cool.
That would make sense to me. That would be interesting to check out the BPMs of all of my favorite songs and see if there's some sort of correlation.
I think there's also something, this is also my theory, panic attacks or like stuff like that. It's calm, you want to get your heart rate down. And for me, like if I listen to calmer music, like it'll help kind of bring that down. And so I don't know, there might be something with that too, regulating your own body rhythm.
Yeah, this is adjacent. Maybe it's just because I have lots of cats. Did you know that cats have this thing that's called the solicitation purr that is the same frequency as a baby crying?
Really?
And they use that to get food and things.
No wonder. My cat's manipulative and snuggly.
Well, I mean, that kind of is the definition of a cat. If you're a dog person, you like something that is obedient in general. Mm-hmm. If you like cats, you like someone who
tells you what to do.
Exactly. Clean this up. Give me food. Give me a back rub.
Literally.
I'm going to go chase a bird right now. Okay, I'm done.
I don't disagree. I always think it's funny when people say that because I'm like, yeah, my cat's in charge. I know.
My cats are very chill.
Mm-hmm. Mine is, yeah.
But Mango is the one who's very curious about stuff, and he can get manipulative. He'll know that he's not supposed to be on something, and he'll look straight at me and go up there or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway. It's not really beat related, but your heartbeat thing kind of reminded me of the solicitation purr.
Heartbeat, yeah.
What else do you think of when you think of the word beat?
Really? Like at first, all I was thinking about was rhythm or like beat, like drums or keeping a beat because also like I don't know how much time I've spent in my life. Or when you go to concerts and it's like all the white people clapping and like no one can actually clap on beat because everyone goes way too fast. Stuff like that. Okay, I also took a music class, like an intro to like rhythm and stuff class. And we had to keep a beat for like a long time with our eyes closed all together. And it's so hard.
Wait a second. Like with
one of our finals, I think freshman year, he split us into groups of 6, and we all had to sit together in a circle with our eyes closed and like count. So we clap on the 1, and then you count to 8, and then you clap on the 2, and then the 3, and like you have to keep that beat going the whole time, like in your head, so that you're all clapping together. But we had to keep our eyes closed.
You couldn't see visual clues. It was all you had to basically have the rhythm in your head.
Have the same metronome going, which is so hard. Like, I think we practiced more for that than we practiced for our shows. Like, it was so difficult.
Interesting. Did you say there was a final?
Yeah.
I mean, pardon me for laughing at that being a final.
No, it's okay. It is. It was a half-credit course. I was a dance major. The annoying thing about that half-credit course, though, is if you failed it, and he liked to fail people, then literally it would put you off track for the whole thing, and you'd have to stay an extra semester in school just to finish the 1 half-credit music course, which is so lame. Because I ended up doing Zoom school for a lot of it. This is just a funny story, but I took this class at like 8 a.m. We had to have our instruments. I had a cowbell at 8 a.m., and I was just like dinging my cowbell in my dorm room. And then my final for that class, I have a video on YouTube, is me with my cowbell sitting on my floor, like going like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, why am I paying for it? But I think it helps.
Cowbell, huh?
Yeah, well, technically it was a 2-tone bell. But
oh, okay, technically. Excuse me, that's a 2-tone bell, not a cowbell.
Yeah, they're different. But a cowbell does have 2 sounds it can make.
So it is a 2-tone bell?
A cowbell can be, yeah.
You're going to need to provide a Venn diagram for me because I'm confused about the cowbell, 2-bell, 2-tone bell. But
anyway.
So that's what you think of your upbringing as far as your college, your art school, a lot of times.
I just think about music a lot, I think. But that, yeah.
I don't. Well, I do think about music because there's a band called the Go-Go's that did an album called Beauty and the Beat.
So did Justin Bieber had a song called...
Was it?
It was Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj.
We got
Beauty
a beat or something like that? I don't know.
A Beauty and a Beat. Yeah, I guess that's what it was. Solid song.
Even for a Canadian.
Even for a Canadian. It's because Nicki Minaj was in there. She saved it.
She saved it. Nicki Minaj, Nicki Minaj, Nicki Minaj. That should be one of those vocal exercises. Anyway, the beat that I think of the Beat Generation.
Poets.
The subculture movement started by authors Jack Kerouac. Who was the other one that you mentioned? Ginsberg.
Allen Ginsberg.
Yeah.
Hal.
William H. Burroughs, too.
See, the great thing about you bringing this up is that now I can talk about the new Taylor Swift album.
Okay.
But continue with what you were saying.
I mean, just the silent generation of the 50s, sometimes known as the Beatniks, central elements of beat culture, rejection of standard narrative values, making a spiritual quest, exploration of America and the eastern regions, the rejection of economic materialism, experimentation with psychedelic drugs, and sexual liberation and exploration. That is the Beat Generation.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. And this is me in a nutshell. Help! Get me out of this nutshell!
Literally.
So, as you were saying, the Taylor Swift album.
Well, okay, I will say, I don't know if she quite speaks directly on, like, that exact time period of poets, but her album is called Tortured Poets Department. Everyone says it's too sad. No, she's charting everywhere. A lot of people, as in my 14-year-old students, are like, why is it so sad? And I'm like, because she's 34, and sometimes it's sad to be a grown-up. I don't know. I was really, for a long time, really, really into Patti Smith. And I read a lot of Patti Smith's books. And there's a line in her song, Tortured Poets Department, that says that she would joke, "You're not Dylan Thomas, I'm not Patti Smith." And, like, this ain't the Chelsea Hotel and all of that. Like, you know, she being Taylor Swift. But, like, just tying it into that, I was so excited that she mentioned Patti Smith. But I absolutely love Patti Smith, and she was a bridge between the beatnik culture and all of that into like punk music, and her like putting poetry to music. And I remember like there was one thing she was saying. She said she saw the Doors, and when she was living, because she moved to New York City and was homeless and randomly met Robert Mapplethorpe, and they were poor and I don't know, had syphilis. It was weird. They would also like go and try and find Andy Warhol.
David Bowie played him in the movie Basquiat.
Like Patti Smith and all of them, they would just like go to bars and try and like find him, which I think is hilarious. That's also how he randomly got shot, was just because everyone knew where everyone was. But beyond that, she saw the Doors perform and she said, I can do that. And she did it. She wrote her poetry and she put it on stage over music, and somehow it changed a generation. And I think that is, I don't know, I think she's so inspiring.
Yeah.
And also, like, it was a weird time. It was the only time to be in New York City. I know I have a lot of friends that like pretend to be like that now, and I'm like, all of you are rich and your parents pay for your apartments. No tea, no shade. Just that's how it goes.
I'm sorry, you said no tea, no shade?
Yeah, no tea, no shade.
What does that mean? No tea, no shade? I know what the shade part is.
Oh, like spilling the tea, like if you're spilling the gossip.
Oh, okay.
No judgment, I guess, not to gossip or to throw shade on anyone, just.
I got the shade, I didn't get the tea.
Now you do. That's another Taylor Swift loves to talk about, the tea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you consider yourself a Swiftie?
100%, which is funny because I was and then I wasn't. But now, yes.
What does that mean when you're a Swiftie? Well,
I think there's different layers. Like, with like Disney adults, there's like layers of how much you are obsessed with a thing. But for me, I love her music. Like when her album came out, me and my friend here, we like sat on her like balcony, like with blankets, and like listened to it at midnight when it came out. That's the amount that I think I know most of the songs from most of her albums, and I grew up with her.
Right.
But I also went through the phase of like, oh, I hate Taylor Swift, like that everyone did during a time. And I do, to go into Swiftiness, a lot of people came back to her during the pandemic when she released Folklore and Evermore.
Yeah,
and then
I was going to say Folklore was kind of an interesting album too.
Those were also very much, and she's very inspired by the Beat Poets too, because she writes a lot of those albums were stories that she came up with. It wasn't about her. It was about.
Exactly. I know it was more of a concept album as far as the story of these two people, right? A couple or. Yeah,
she had like a love triangle trilogy of songs. She had, a few she wrote one that people say is about like Emily Dickinson, but like who knows, because it's, but a lot of hers are about herself. So like those were really cool, just random stories she created or situations. Or like she wrote a song about her house, the lady, can't remember her last name. She brought the house. She also gave a bunch of money to the Joffrey Ballet, so like that song I really like. And then Taylor bought the house because the lady was crazy.
Okay.
This is the Last Great American Dynasty was the song. People say she only writes songs about her breakups, but like she does a lot more than that. And especially like as she's gotten older and I think navigated being a child star and then being a grown-up in the spotlight. Her poetry is amazing. Like she really is. She's a poet. I think like in my head reminds me of Bob Dylan, just in the fact of story like telling and songwriting. And her voice is amazing, and I know Bob Dylan like wasn't always proud of his voice, but also like that's not her main thing. Her main thing is her writing.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's why I'm a Swiftie. But I also like I won't spend a bunch of money to go to like her Eras tour because like I'm poor,
That's kind of like, it might be neat to do it, but I'm not going to spend money on it kind of thing. There's certain bands that it's like I have to see them in concert, right? And then there are other bands that it's like, I don't think I'm missing much. Plus, you could go to that movie that she put out, right?
I did. And in theaters. And I traded bracelets with 12-year-olds. It was so much fun.
Okay. Yeah. And you're saying, oh, hey, I teach dance at so-and-so. You can, making some clients there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to learn how to dance? Huh?
I'll give you private.
I taught Paula Abdul everything she knows. I have a time machine.
Literally, my students don't think I'm 16. It's fine.
They don't have a concept of time yet.
No, I told them my age.
You mentioned Bob Dylan.
I love Bob Dylan.
Everyone hates this impression that I do. He and I have the same birth date. Bob Dylan and myself. Yeah.
How fun.
I should probably not say that. Bob Dylan and I have the same birth date. Kind of cool. I want them to look it up. I'm not going to tell them. If they want to know, they got to do some work.
Do some research on your own.
Exactly, which they're not going to do. So here is my impression of Bob Dylan getting attacked by bees. Help, I'm being attacked by bees.
You know?
Everyone hates that impression. I don't know why.
I think it's not far off.
Didn't Beyonce have like a country album that she just released?
She did.
Because those two stars, I connect them through Kanye West.
Well, yes.
Did Taylor Swift write a song about Kanye West, or did she just say, he's not even worth my time kind of thing?
Well, I'm not as hardcore of a Swiftie, so like there might be people might have like dug deep into all of that I haven't.
Okay.
As far as I know, I think she tried to stay out of it. Her only things were like she didn't ever like name drop. Like she'd kind of be like, the world tried to take this away from me, or they tried to say I was like this.
But it's better than just naming him.
And like he name dropped her. Yeah.
I think he wants that. That's the thing.
He said I made that famous.
Right, which is 100% untrue.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think it was the following year, Beck, in similar fashion, Beck won.
And people were mad.
And
no one knew who he was.
Kanye West, he gets up like he's going to go on stage, and Beck goes, come on, get up here. I don't know what to say. I didn't expect to win this.
Literally, I think he won Album of the Year, which is so random.
Yep. I'm a fan of Beck, but his older stuff. So.
Oh yeah, personally as well. I listen to his newer albums. They're good, but they're very similar to me sounding.
Some of them. I mean, Sea Change was kind of his album that was different from all the other ones, but it just did not connect with me.
Yeah.
I will pick up his songs every once in a while and check them out just because it's cool. So. And
keep up with Beck.
Didn't he also write the Ramona song from Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Oh!
Yeah, he did a lot of the music for that.
That makes sense. He's done like some like more like music for like movies and stuff. I do know that, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that movie.
And speaking of movies, the other thing I think of when I think of beat, besides beat poetry and the Beat Generation, is this BMW series of commercials. One in particular, BMW had a series of short films that you could get on DVD, I think it was.
That's what I want from Redbox. No, sorry, continue.
You can find these individually. In fact, I think I sent you Beat the Devil.
Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah, Beat the Devil. That was.
You did. I just didn't understand what the context was. Okay.
It's a series of shorts that they did.
That makes more sense.
For 2 different years. It's called The Hire, and like 10-minute commercials, roughly. Right?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Starring Clive Owen and a BMW. Clive Owen is the driver. So anyway, there's one that has Madonna in it. There's other star ones, but this one had Gary Oldman playing the devil.
Yeah.
And James Brown playing himself, getting old, saying he wants to write up a new contract. So then he puts up the soul of his driver. You know, I would have been pissed at that. I'm like, dude, you know,
right.
I'm very confident in my driving skills, but
literally,
you need to ask me first. Don't just
straight
do
up.
it.
Consent is key.
Exactly. James Brown getting me also'd or whatever. But so you saw it. It's beautiful, beautifully shot. I mean,
yeah.
It's almost like it's a little movie. Danny Trejo's in it too.
Yeah. I love him. And Gary Oldman. They're great.
And then a little cameo. I think Marilyn Manson's been canceled, but he's at the end where he says he's got the Bible and he said, "Could you keep it down? We're doing our Bible reading." And then Gary Oldman says, "That guy really freaks me out."
Yeah.
And he's the devil. But anyway.
Well, now Marilyn Manson's canceled, so clearly.
Right. Oh, you know, the other star besides Clive Owen was the BMW Z4 3.0i. So there you go. You're like, I wonder which BMW actually starred in that. I did not watch it for the BMWs at all.
Which BMW?
I did not. I mean, it was an interesting concept, taking these really great directors doing it.
That's cool. But I don't think that would influence whether or not I bought a car.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
But like, that's cool that they did it.
The devil's car was a flamed Pontiac Firebird.
Ah.
Driver is all pissed, leaves James Brown in the desert, but he sees him change into a young man. Okay, anyway. I'm a big fan of Tony Scott's directed movies from the standpoint of his cinematography is...
Would he have directed anything I know?
True Romance.
Ah, okay.
He was the director on that. A Tarantino script, but what else? You know what? Let me just look it up. Some Tony Scott movies. He is the brother of Ridley Scott.
Yeah, got you.
Right, and everyone knows what Ridley Scott did.
Yes.
Alien.
With the chest and the...
Yeah, with the...
Spoilers. That's exactly how it went.
With the chest and the...
Pretty much.
The late Tony Scott. Man on Fire, Deja Vu, Top Gun.
Oh.
Top Gun is another big one of his that everyone knows. He also directed Beverly Hills Cop 2. The cinematography was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So just the way he does his... I mean, a lot of these movies later on in his career, like Unstoppable, Domino, Deja Vu, Spy Game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Enemy of the State was another one that you might know. The Last Boy Scout, you probably won't know, but your dad will. Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis.
Yes, my dad will.
Just the way he films it, the way he sets up his scenes, it's just so amazing. Even when he's not given the best script and he can't really rescue the script, just the filming is so amazing.
I love that.
But it just so happens that True Romance is probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a good movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
I think it ended the way it should. Although the way it was originally written by Quentin Tarantino, it was... They died. He dies, and then she does a little... what is it?
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, a little Romeo and Juliet at the end. But Tony Scott said, listen, this whole thing is playing out like a fairy tale. These two kids get into this situation, they get married, they go off, they're trying to get rid of this stuff, they go through all these hardships. It needs a happy ending because it's a fairy tale. It's like a modern fairy tale. So
I think that's kind of what they did with Baby Driver.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because they were, I mean, now everyone's canceled, but I still like that movie. It was, I think it was a similar kind of like thought process at least. But
Right.
That's cool.
That's what I think of. Let's move on to games.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! So I sent you a little video of the Cadence of Hyrule, I think.
Yes, you did.
You've seen that before? I'm guessing?
I have seen it. I think I played a demo of it.
Oh, okay.
I think. It was that one, or is there two of them?
There's one called Crypt the Necrodancer, which may have come out for the Switch at some point in time.
Yeah.
I have it on my Mac.
I played a demo for that one. It's similar though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just the music and the elements are different. The Cadence of Hyrule has Legend of Zelda music, a soundtrack written by Danny Baranowski. A lot of rhythm sort of things where you have to keep in time with a beat that shows at the bottom as you're advancing your character step by step through this dungeon and you're fighting these characters, right?
Yeah.
Did you not enjoy it because it was kind of basic for your level of knowledge of rhythm and beat?
Oh, no. To be honest, a lot of times when I play games that have like different controls, I'll be like, oh, I don't know how much effort I want to put into figuring this out. But I think it was cool. I mean, I also generally like if a game has like a rhythm to it, it's a lot easier for me to like do just because like it keeps you on track.
Yeah.
But also just I'm not always like the biggest fan of like combat games in general, but that's because I'm me and I get stressed.
With this is like a top-down dungeon crawling sort of thing where
Yeah.
you keep on playing it over and over again to find the bosses in the level or unlock the next level or so on and so forth. So
yeah, it was also a while ago that I remember doing that.
I think it's a fun little game that I just like a little time waster. Play it for about
it was
20
cute.
minutes.
Yeah. I didn't need to buy the whole thing.
It was on sale, so I picked it up. But the reason I mentioned Crypt of the Necrodancer and the Cadence of Hyrule is because there is a game called Hi-Fi Rush. Actually, you probably should look this up so you can see it.
It looks cool.
That's the thing. It looks cool.
It looks cool. I like the art.
The cel-shaded look to it. It's very cartoony, and I just thought it was okay. Maybe it's one of those things where my expectations were so high for this game because it was getting 9s from everyone, and I like a good rhythm game. But you know what? Let me go get my notebook because I took notes about all the things I hated about this game.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it briefly.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I mean, I like
all my notes.
Let me just refresh my memory here. Just one second.
That's
I'm going
okay.
to grab it.
I get you. I feel that way about lots of things that other people like.
Yeah, I don't like saying I hate stuff because on paper, this looks like it would be amazing. Even the trailer makes it look amazing. But something about it just doesn't feel finished or right to me. Immediately when I saw that thing where you have to keep in the beat, I thought of Cadence of Hyrule and Crypt of the Necrodancer, which I think Crypt of the Necrodancer came out sometime like in 2015, so it's been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
I was expecting sort of a version of that where you could do things and fight enemies in 3D, and it was like a really well done platformer, but it's not. The platforming, are you familiar with platformers? Like
yes.
Like Ratchet and Clank was one of them I really liked on the PlayStation.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
There was one I was really obsessed with. I was obsessed with Alice Madness Returns. That one was a platformer.
Oh, okay.
People were annoyed at like how much platforming it had, but I loved that game.
Yeah, and there is good level design in these things. And just having a 3D world where you're following a path, that's fine. What it would try and do to vary the situation between fighting enemies with your various moves and stuff. The shift to a 2D mode where you're going from left to right or right to left. Those sections, they weren't challenging. There was really nothing about them that was compelling. I mean, you could find hidden objects in some of the other 3D environments, but there was nothing creative about that whole 2D side-scrolling piece.
Yeah, I feel like that doesn't show that in the pictures that I looked at, all 4 pictures that I saw.
And that's probably because it's the most boring part.
Yeah.
Sly Cooper was another wonderfully done, cel-shaded platforming game that had a cool story. But this just, like I said, the story was kind of flat. Your character's name is Chai. You arrive at this technology center campus to volunteer for Project Armstrong, which is a cybernetic limb replacement program. And Chai, his music player, gets thrown in with his limb replacement software and they couldn't tell the difference. So it gets implanted in him.
Got you.
So he has a musical connection with the surroundings, which means he moves to the beat, the environment moves to the beat. It's all visually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great. It's nice and smooth. One other thing that I didn't like was when you transition from the actual movie portions to the game, there was a noticeable shift in the animation style. The one that was like, as you're playing it, seemed very smooth, but it didn't match the cartoon that was playing for the cutscenes. So yeah, that was kind of a little jarring.
I don't really get why you do that like these days. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the best games, like, or the games that have the best cutscenes, like, it's seamless.
And usually it's the opposite, right? It's kind of like the game itself doesn't match the
it doesn't look as good. Yeah. Or yeah.
But this was the opposite. It just didn't feel right. So starts your adventure with your little thing in your chest, and then you find a guitar that you can use. You've got a robotic cat named 808. I mean, it is beautiful, but the level designs were a little
yeah.
And then also when you're battling, and I don't know how familiar you are with battling in a three-dimensional environment, but some games do it well, others don't.
Really only Zelda.
I don't know if this is in Zelda. There's a target lock.
Okay.
You can lock on a target, right?
Yeah.
And you can scroll through the targets if you want to. There is no target lock on this. And so you have these beats that you have to follow, and, you know, you get different moves, and it's basically just all 4/4 time.
You don't know who you're hitting.
Yep. You don't know if there's someone else behind you or if someone's coming by. You can't switch between, and it just seems like a huge miss. I think it would have been so much more fun if they would have had some sort of target lock, but it's not there. They also
paid more attention to the graphics.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the thing. It's and also by the time you get to the end of the story, you've got 3 members of this team, or 4 members, one of which is a robot. So I guess they don't count him as a member. But they each have a different sort of power that they can use to come in during your fight. But then also, you know how certain things will give you a certain power that will allow you to get to an area, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. But it's not used in such a creative way. It's just basically so linear feeling, the whole thing.
Yeah. That was what people said about Alice Madness Return. Anyway, continue.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it, right? I mean, you know.
It's like kind of like spending more time on the graphics than on actual gameplay. So like you draw a lot of people in from like how cool it looks, but then it might not necessarily actually be fun to do.
Well, I mean, the concept, boy, I was looking forward to it because one of my favorite, what's credited as like the first legit cel-shaded game is this game called Jet Set Radio, known as Jet Grind Radio here for some reason. Now it's Jet Set Radio again. But anyway, that was a cool game that had that very unique looking style, the cel shading. You would go around your environment and it was like Tony Hawk sort of, and you would do tricks and do all sorts of jumping. But then you would get to certain spots where you had to tag. You had to put your tag up, which is like a painting of whatever.
Oh, okay.
So you would have to follow different directional movements while people were chasing after you. So it had enough levels. The boss fight was kind of crazy. And so it's like, even the boss fights in this just don't feel entirely 100% thought out. It had so much going for it. Mediocre level designed. It's got different button combinations that you do, right? And you have to do them perfectly or else you miss the combo. And it's one of these call and response things. But it doesn't make it clear specifically when you should start. It doesn't give you a guide. And there was also another...
Hope you catch it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there was also another game called Space Channel 5, which is basically Simon, like the 4-color Simon thing, call and response kind of game. Played a character, Ooh La La, who was a space reporter. Space Channel 5. Boy, I kept my roommates up with that because I used to play it at the end of the night and leave the sound on, and they hated it. Ooh La La, space reporter. Anyway.
Oh, that's funny. That over and over. Nice.
So that's my sort of disappointing. I mean, I finished it, but I had to kind of force myself to finish it, which is not good.
Not what you want.
And it doesn't seem to me like there's any real replayability. They put some stuff in there where you can customize your Chai character if you unlock these things, but it's like, I don't want to, you know.
I don't care.
It wasn't fun. They had some big name music, you know, licensed music in there. They had the Black Keys. They had
cool.
a couple of Nine Inch Nails songs that they used.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yep. They used 1 Million and The Perfect Drug. Someone did a cover of Fiona Apple's Fast As You Can as one of the songs. Then my favorite, which is The Prodigy with Invaders Must Die. It's like angry dance, you know, it's like very. They do this song called Smack My Bitch Up, which is about drug use. But anyway.
Angry dance.
If you took someone from like a rave and then just got really angry at something, that's what it would sound like. It's just angry rave music. Anything by them is just angry.
I like angry. Who do I like? I like Death Grips a lot.
Okay.
I'd say that's kind of angry. They're like rap alternative or hip hop alternative. They're cool. Death Grips is really cool. Actually, I would recommend listening to them.
The Prodigy. Their first 2 albums were very much, you know, they sounded ravey. They sounded like it was like going to a dance party. And then once they got into the more hard sounding stuff, that's kind of where they stayed from that point forward. So yeah, angry rave. But anyway, they're
derivative from something similar, so it'd be an interesting thing to look for if you're curious.
I'm gonna check them out and see what I think.
And within music these days, everyone's trying to be new. And that being said, I listen I like things that are different.
Except for Taylor Swift. That's your exception.
Oh, I love my Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Oh, don't get me wrong. And I like there are things. I like Kanye. Like I like you know, even the Taylor Swift battle, I still like Kanye. I think his music's good.
I don't. And that's
really?
I just don't.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I mean, it's just like he's one of these guys who hit it at a time where he was interpreted as being brilliant and had the attitude, and then the attitude continued, and it's like going down a hill and then going a straight line across the desert. He's just in the desert right now. Right?
Yeah.
And he's not doing anything new or fresh or whatever. He's just, you know, I don't know.
He's just being
Kanye, you know, which is okay, Kanye. I guess. But
being a little crazy, you know.
Yeah, making his wife look like his old wife.
Yeah,
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't. Anyway.
But she's an architect, so.
Hey, good for her.
Good for her. Yeah, there must be something there because I don't know why you would. Anyway, let's not get into that. Let's just wrap up the show by saying, hey, what is your final thought on the word beat?
That we didn't talk about wife beaters.
That's a good thing, I think.
No, the tank top.
Yeah, exactly. Not actual.
But it still probably is.
Yeah, no wives were harmed during the making of these shirts.
No wives were harmed.
That's one of those ones where people would call it that, and that's stereotyping, but people call those things that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. That's all I could think of.
Finishing up with a stereotype. Let's do it. My final thought on the word beat is the word beat is kind of interesting in a number of ways and different meanings. So am I going to go back into the beat poetry stuff? No. Am I going to maybe play a rhythm game every once in a while? Yeah. As long as it's fun and interesting and not just keeping in time, right? I don't think we even brought it up. Beat is keeping in time. That's what it is, right? It's keeping in time. So
keeping in time.
Yep.
Like your heart.
Exactly. Keeping in time.
Better final thought is I did not realize beat had so many definitions.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I feel like I knew most of them. I just didn't put it together.
Do you have a rug that really ties the room together?
Currently?
Oh, you do?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Because I was going to say you should go out and beat that rug. with your big
Oh,
rug beater thing. You know?
right. Yeah.
Looks like
No.
a big fly swatter or something. What they used to beat the rugs with.
Oh, yeah. We had to do that with the mulch, but we just did it at my job when I worked outside. But mostly we just hit it with a broom or kicked it.
Okay.
But I guess that I did have to do that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Anyway,
thank you, Star, for joining us on this week's episode. I really appreciate you being here, talking about the word beat.
Sure.
It was kind of a weird one, but, and I want you to come up.
It was fun.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was fun having you.
Uh-huh.
And come up with another word so we can do it again, because we want to hear about your video game stuff, what you're getting into. Like Stardew Valley or whatever.
I know. I need to play Stardew. The problem with Stardew Valley is that I feel like I would get overwhelmed. I can't keep up with tasks in my daily life.
Yeah,
how am I supposed to do it?
Exactly. How are you supposed to do it in a digital life?
Yeah, that's what I got with Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I still think Tom Nook is definitely a slumlord.
Definitely.
He's getting something out of it, and I don't know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, can you just not pay him back?
For what?
I mean, doesn't he?
Like, no.
Doesn't he charge you for your, like, you're supposed to pay him
for
back
your house
for your land
stuff.
or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, you can't get any more stuff if you don't pay him.
Oh.
So you can't, like, buy a bridge. Like, technically, I guess if you really didn't want to, you don't have to. But then you can't get bridges or other buildings or other people and residents and such.
There should be a way to hire a hitman to take out Tom Nook.
Tom Nook.
I'm not a Tom Nook hater. Let me just say that.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, thank you, audience, for joining us on this week's episode of the Too Vague Podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Star.
And we've been your hosts. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Bye.